Based on a short story by Damon Knight and adapted for television by Rod Serling, this Twilight Zone story is arguably one of the best and most remembered of the entire series. And that's saying something, as Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone is one of the most respected and probably the best anthology series of all time. Originally published in Galaxy Science Fiction magazine in November of 1950, the short story To Serve Man differed somewhat from the TV adaptation, but the story was basically the same. A race of alien beings lands on Earth and offers to bring mankind the peace and plenty which they themselves enjoy, and which they have in the past brought to other races throughout the galaxy. In Knight's short story, the aliens, or Canimets as they're called, are short, hairy pig-like creatures that walk upright. But in the Twilight Zone episode, they are 9-foot-tall giants with enormous heads and telepathic powers of communication. It's great rewatching these classic Twilight Zone episodes, as they are, in my opinion, much better than anything on television today. The effects may be dated, but the stories and characterizations are solid. There are some minor plot holes, but the writing and the dialogue are so good that they don't affect the basic story. The story opens on board the Canimet spaceship in a framing sequence which was later added by Rod Serling. The main character, Michael Chambers, is seen lying down smoking a cigarette, while a voice on the intercom tells him, "It is the meal time. Kindly state your preference." Chambers then narrates the scene as we flash back to the Canimet's first appearance on Earth. There's a shot of New York's Times Square and the United Nations building, and then a shot of a UFO flying overhead. It's footage taken from the 1951 film The Day the Earth Stood Still. Inside the UN, they announced that the first official arrival of alien creatures from outer space has happened. The air is filled with tension as the alien enters the building. We don't actually see the alien in this scene, just his tall shadow, the shocked looks on the delegates' faces, and the back of the alien's head. After that, we get the great Rod Serling monologue that brings us to the first break.
Respectfully submitted for your perusal, a Canimet. Height a little over 9 feet. Weight in the neighborhood of 350 pounds. Origin unknown.
An intriguing story with a shocking twist ending, To Serve Man had its share of production problems. There were 2 different versions that were shot. Then the footage from both versions was combined to make the episode that we see today. Richard Kyle, later of James Bond villain fame, plays the 9-foot-tall Canimet that first addresses the UN, and then he plays every Canimet that was seen after that. Kyle was just over 7 feet tall in real life and wore a large prosthetic appliance on his head to give the appearance of a large brain. And he also wore thick-soled platform shoes to increase his height even more. Kyle was in the middle of filming the movie Ega, a 1962 indie horror film, but director Richard Baer was able to shoot around his filming schedule. Pioneering makeup artist William Tuttle, who also did the makeup for the classic Twilight Zone episodes Nightmare at 20,000 Feet, Eye of the Beholder, and The Masks, also created the prosthetics used for the alien's head, and it's still very creepy to look at. When we come back from break, we see that the Canimet is speaking, but his mouth isn't moving, voicing instead through some sort of telepathy. He says that they come in peace and friendship, and that their intentions are honorable. They wish above all things to help the people of Earth. They promise cheap, unlimited energy, an end to famine, and an end to all wars. They only ask us to trust them, as they have no ulterior motives. They just want to help us. After answering some questions from the delegates, the Canimet leaves behind a book written in their alien language. We then see our main character, Michael Chambers, a government cryptographer, who is given the assignment of translating the book. People are naturally distrustful of the Canimet's intentions, but are slowly persuaded to change their minds as the aliens begin to deliver on their promises to put an end to world hunger, energy shortages, and the arms race. At this point, Patty, a member of Chambers' team, enters the room and happily announces that they've licked the book's title. She presents a sheet of paper with the title printed in English to Chambers and 2 representatives of the Army who are also there. It's revealed that the title of the book is To Serve Man, and Chambers seems to think that this proves the intention of the aliens. The Army reps are still skeptical, but hopeful, and Chambers tells them that if true, they'll all be out of a job. We then switch to a scene where a candidate is taking a lie detector test. They ask him questions while monitoring the results.
How did you get to this planet?
Walked.
Once again, how did you get to this planet?
In a spaceship.
After the scientists are convinced that the detector is working, they ask what is the motive of the Canaanite people in offering such great gifts to the people of the earth.
To bring to you the peace and plenty which we ourselves enjoy, and which we have in the past brought to other races throughout the galaxy.
After winning humanity's trust, the aliens begin an exchange program with the Canaanites coming to Earth, while humans go to the Canaanite homeworld to enjoy a long vacation. They don't know just how long it's going to be. Everyone is excited to leave on the alien spaceship as they think they're going off to some sort of paradise. There's a great shot of people stepping on a large scale before boarding the spaceship, and the Canaanite, in great foreshadowing, has a really creepy smile on his face. After the famous It's a Cookbook scene, Chambers tries to run down the stairs of the spacecraft, but is blocked by the Canaanite and forced onto the ship.
The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook.
As the ship takes off, there's a shot of a flying saucer taken from the 1956 film Earth vs. the Flying Saucers. Famous special effects artist Ray Harryhausen created the original effect, but is never credited in the episode. When Serling first watched the rough cut of the episode, he wasn't happy with it. Serling told the author, Damon Knight, that they were going to reshoot some scenes, and it was Rod's hope to at least come within a few hundred yards of Damon's great story. They made plans to film additional footage, rewrite the aliens' dialogue, and re-record the voiceover tracks. In the original cut of the ending, when Patty shouts to serve man, it's a cookbook, there was a close-up of Chambers' shocked face as the alien's hand reaches up to pinch his cheek, feeling for tenderness, before shoving Chambers up the stairs and closing the door. Serling wrote the two additional scenes at the beginning and ending with Chambers on board the spacecraft as a framing device to tie the episode together. They then used the rest of the footage that was already in the can as flashback sequences with Chambers narrating. It was the only Twilight Zone episode where a character in the story directly speaks to the viewers, other than Serling himself. Serling also rewrote his opening and closing monologues to better reflect the final episode. By the time the script revisions were made, Kyle wasn't available to re-record them, so Joseph Ruskin stepped in to do the voiceover. Ruskin had played the genie in the Twilight Zone episode, The Man in the Bottle, but he was never credited in this episode. Kyle himself stated he was so tired after driving all night from one job to another and then doing brutal makeup that when they gave him the script for his lines, he wasn't prepared and didn't do a very good job on the voiceover. He wasn't surprised that they re-recorded his lines, just disappointed in himself. Serling left on a 5-week vacation, and when he got back and viewed the results, he agreed it was much better than before. A number of scenes were deleted, and the order of some scenes was switched for better clarity of storytelling. Author Damon Knight was extremely pleased with the episode's outcome, and shot off a note to Serling thanking him for making a dandy show that his kids loved, but that they thought there should have been more to the story. Serling replied telling Knight that he wasn't sure that they did justice to his story, but every effort was made to do so, and he hoped they were able to work together again. That was not to be the case, though, as none of Damon's other scripts ever made it into production. Was this one of your favorite Twilight Zone episodes? If not, what are some of your favorite episodes of this classic series? I have so many favorites it would take me a long time to write them all down. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, this is Rich from Rerun Zone, signing off.
Please, Mr. Chambers, eat. We wouldn't want you to lose weight.